What would it be like to hear symphonies in color? Or taste somebody's name? Smell the color blue? This may sound psychedelically strange, but in fact it is a neurological condition called synesthesia. Synesthesia, meaning joined perception in Greek, is defined as the combining of two unrelated senses in the brain, sort of like a metaphor, but for the senses. For example, one person might visualize the number 3 as red, or another might find that the sound of a violin tastes like oranges. Synesthetes usually end up having 1 or 2 associations out of the dozens of types. This condition exists within at least 1% of the population, but statistics still vary. That is, though, around 67 million people. So, how does it work? What we know so far is that synesthetes biologically inherit hyperconnected brain neurons, which increase connections in unrelated regions of the brain. These excessive connections are then exposed to culture once the child is born, such as alphabets, music, numbers, and calendars. This is what ends up creating a wide array of unique sensory connections. Rules. Number 1. It's involuntary and instantaneous. When you think of a number, bam, it's a color. Number 2. The connections are stuck there forever. They never change. And they just make perfect sense. You can't really explain why. Number 3. Those who have it tend to be significantly more creative and artistic. Some famous synesthetes include painters David Hockney and Vincent van Gogh. Number 4. Synesthesia is also linked with heightened memory. Its hyperconnections serve as a mnemonic aid and thus enhance the cognitive parts of the brain. For example, it's easy for me to recall that Louis XIV built the Palace of Versailles because Louis XIV and Versailles are all green in my mind. What's interesting is that these same hyperconnected neurons in synesthetes are also temporarily present in people taking hallucinogenic drugs like LSD and psilocybin. You could say synesthesia is like a very toned down hallucinogenic trip. These synesthetic neurons are also present in the mental disorder schizophrenia, and the neurons seriously lack in those with Alzheimer's disease. These similarities to other conditions are what makes synesthesia so vital to the scientific community and to finding treatments for all kinds of neurological diseases. Lastly, want to know what it's like to experience synesthesia? Take a trip inside my own mind, for example. One type I have is grapheme to color synesthesia. This allows me to visualize numbers and letters as colors. Here's my numbers 1 through 9. And here's my alphabet. I also have specific colors for words. And days of the week. I also have some music to color synesthesia, which means when I hear a song, I can visualize colors and shapes based on the pitch, rhythm, and the types of instruments being played. So here's some well-known songs paired with what I see in my head when I hear them.
Imagine all the people living.
Fill my heart with song, let me sing forevermore.
So overall, synesthesia is a truly fascinating condition whose research and experimentation continues to be endless. Whether you have it or not, it can serve as a reminder that all of us pretty much experience what we call reality in an entirely different way, which is pretty cool.